So, I'm here today at Poplar Grove Plantation. I lived here all my life, and I still pronounce that wrong. And your name is?
I'm Autumn Day.
Autumn Day. And Autumn, what are we going to be doing today?
We are going to learn 5 to 7 different techniques. We're going to learn how to keep a coal fire and use a bellows, and we're going to make something.
Okay. So how long have you been blacksmithing, I guess?
I've been blacksmithing for 20 years.
Okay.
I started at UNC Charlotte through the College of Architecture. It was an elective. And I took some bladesmithing courses at Tryon Arts and Crafts, and then otherwise I am self-taught.
Oh, years. That's a long time. So
love every second.
All right. What's your favorite part about it?
I like playing with fire.
Hey, that's a plus.
And I like hitting things really hard.
There you go. Yeah.
So it works out.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope we don't burn the place down, and we're having a great time here. Again, this is Bunky Tries. Please like and subscribe. And here we go. Okay.
They can be an S. I mean, it can be any length you want. The longer is easier.
Right.
You don't have to use tongs. And then usually we're putting a twist in it somewhere.
Okay.
So what we'll be doing is learning to square, taper, put a twist, and
Okay.
use the horn of the anvil.
Sounds great.
And I have 3 different set stalks you can use. This is a 3/4. This is a 1/4.
Okay.
And then I have a 1/2 inch. So a 1/2 inch, you're really going to hammer.
Yeah, we don't want to be working too hard today.
Okay. So then you can go with either of the 2 of those stalks are going to pretty much move the same. I actually find that the 3/8 is a little bit easier to work with.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, and so what you can do is you can pick however you want your hook to look like. So here's a few others. Like this one has a little pigtail in it. It's an ugly pigtail.
Right.
But it has a pigtail. You know, this one's just kind of flat. So I don't know. I have a bunch of tongs. I don't use a lot.
Okay.
3 different hammers. That one's crap. These 2 are still really good working. This is a 1910 Trenton anvil.
Okay.
It weighs 400 pounds. It would be about $2,800 on the market. It's a really cool anvil. So anyways, whenever you're working, pieces of the metal come off called shale, and it looks like this.
Right.
And it'll go in those holes, and then you put your hot metal on top of that and hammer it, and then it attaches.
Okay.
So that's the issues here that we're working with this anvil. But it's mounted on a stump. It's concreted in the ground, about 3 feet down. We put the metal plate. We ran a layer of PVC in between the 2, and then put it in place with these side pockets. And so it has a nice ring and a bounce back.
Right.
That's how you tell it's a good working anvil. So I'm not doing anything with it. You can drop a ball bearing here and it'll come back to your fingers.
Oh, okay.
That's a good working anvil. What's important is that you mount your anvil correctly. This one over here is not mounted right. You see it all the time with the chain on the anvil. That's to help with that sound.
Okay.
That's not going to be a properly working anvil because it's not mounted correctly. So when you're watching your videos and stuff like that, and at the home forge, having a chain is not the right way to do it.
Right.
It's a lazy way to do it. So you can do it something like that, or you can do straps over the feet with a nut bolt. Hold it down because it's 400 pounds. It still moves.
Yes, I'm sure.
So this is a rigid anvil, 125 pound, totally fine. I like this one too. So I have other things. Post vise is pretty necessary. It attaches to the ground. so you can hammer onto it.
Okay.
These guys are called swedge blocks, and they give you different angles that you can't get on the anvil. So for forge welding gun barrels, making pipes, spoons, bowls, that type of thing. So that's what those are for. I am burning coal. This is a metallurgical grade bituminous coal. Whenever it comes to me, it looks like this, very hard, very non-porous. So I have to get that heated up. That'll only burn at about 2,400 degrees. So what I have to do is I have to cook it, and I cook it by adding water in the fire. I push it up. It starts a combustion process. It burns off sulfur and hydrocarbons, and what you're left with is fines or breeze. And that's what holds the breeze together. So fines is sort of like the ash. It's sticky. It holds it together. The rest is breeze. It's 90% carbon. So super light. Lots of room for oxygen. That gets up to about 3,800 degrees. Most of the metal that I work with in here is a mild steel, and it burns at around 3,600 degrees. So it gets hot enough to catch on fire. What happens in the process is it burns out clinkers. Clinkers are impurities that are naturally occurring in the soil, like nickel, magnesium, iron.
Right.
And that forms clinkers. These are clinkers. So you can check those out. Some are, this is a West Virginia clinker. That's a Pennsylvania clinker. Because the coal's different.
Okay.
And so as soon as you catch your piece of metal on fire, so it's going to go from red to orange to yellow, it's going to turn white, and then it's going to start sparkling and it's on fire. So you want to avoid that. You want to get it up to a bright yellow, and that's when you're working it.
Okay.
If you see people and they're wailing away on something that's red, it's not going to go anywhere. It has to be hot. So it needs to be yellow. What happens is if you have a clinker in your fire and you heat your piece up, they're both magnetic because they're both metal, and so the clinker sticks to your piece and looks like that. Sometimes you can wire brush it off, but it's probably pitted under there. So if you're making a knife or a tool, so I'm using a bellows. This is a double chamber bellows. This is a Civil War era replica, and it has a platform that runs along the center here that has a big circle in it. That's an air intake. This is an air intake here as well, and it's weighted from the top and the bottom. So if you use it correctly, the top portion should be full of air the entire time you're working. So my first 3 pulls are going to be on this lever right here, really fast, all the way from the top to the bottom, and that's going to fill that top portion up with air. You hear a constant push of air in the fire, and that's going to get your piece up to heat. We're going to have an ashy fire because it's old, so I'm going to constantly be to try to get the ash and stuff out. So the ash dumps out down here, and down in the middle of that firebox, there's a hole. That's where the oxygen comes in, and there's a clinker breaker, which is this triangular stone, which is supposed to be handled with this right here. However, the clinker breaker is a little big for the hole, so I usually just end up running this down through, right down through the middle, and getting the ash out that way. Because if you don't hear the air, you can pull 50 times, and you won't get your piece up to heat.
Gotcha.
So we'll be cleaning that out quite a bit. I'll probably do a little bit of maintenance to it before. You said you watched the videos, right? Forge and Fire? Okay. Alright, so the one thing that I see that is definitely a big no is somebody using a super big hammer and wailing away on something that's round.
Right.
When metal is in its full temperature, it is crystalline. When it gets hot, it turns into a plastic and it moves like modeling clay. So if you handle onto a crystal, it's going to shatter it. So hammering onto something that's cold is going to lead to issues in the future. And then the other thing is, because I'm using coal, I keep it caved up because I have to use bellows for my heat and I want to conserve my fuel. So I keep the fresh, wet coal out here and bank it up and let it just burn down. It makes kind of like a cave. You keep it all pushed down. You want your piece to be on coals all the time. You don't want it to be surrounded by oxygen because then it's oxidizing. So I keep it pushed up all around, and then the fresh coal's cooking on the outside. It's helping to keep my heat just in the center while I'm cooking my coal. So that being said, there are 3 different heat treating processes that you can do in a coal fire. What you want to do whenever you get started is you're going to run your piece in parallel to the bricks, find the lip of the firebox, and go directly above it and put your piece in. That's going to give you the best amount of heat. If you were up a 1/4 inch, you'd be losing about 600 degrees, and your pull the bellows about 10 times more. So placement in the fire is important. But when you see people and they have their piece stuck down at an angle like that, that's an issue because the oxygen is going in at the bottom. It's a very volatile environment, and it's burning up that oxygen at a rapid pace, so you're oxidizing your piece. and opening up for pitting and fracture, loss of carbon, all of that. So that's kind of a not a good practice.
Right. Yeah.
But the other cool thing is, in a coal fire, you can put your piece up to the top here, and you can actually add carbon back into it. So if you're making a blade or something, you can carburize it in a coal fire. So that's pretty much it. So I'm just going to demonstrate for you and show you how to go about making your hook, and then you can get started.
Okay.
And then, because I made that super short, if you have questions about anything, just let me know. If you want to know more about something, I'll just expound on it. Alright, so bellows can explode if you do not use them correctly. This pole is not super easy to get. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in half, and I'm going to give you one half, and I'll take the other.
Okay.
The appropriate way to do a cut, we're going to use this cutting tool over here, is to put your piece here, hammer down really good, hold it and turn it a 1/4 inch, hammer down, hold it, and then you can kind of go around and around. So that way you get like a more tapered cut instead of a smushed flat.
Gotcha.
Whenever I do it though, right now, I'm not going to do that because it's a long piece, so it's going to bow. I'm just going to hammer through.
Okay.
But you're going to want to cut yours.
Yep.
So you'll want to do it the correct way to get you a nice. We have 2 pieces. So one of these will be yours. I'll take the longest because it'll be awkward. So you're going to do a couple different processes. First thing I'm going to show you to do is to square. And in order to square, the anvil is your bottom tool. It makes everything really pretty.
Okay.
Flat and straight. Unless you're really good with a hammer, your hammer doesn't do that.
Right.
And so what I do is I start from the inside out of where I want to square and run down. I flip it 180 degrees and do that again, and then you have 2 good sets.
Okay.
Right. And then I'll flip it on the 90 and do that, and then 180 and do that again. And the reason I do that is because if you do this all up and down it, you're going to get humps and bumps because your hammer is not
Right.
right. But if you start from the inside and work your way out, you steer the metal with your left hand, then you'll get a really even thing. Flip it 180 and do that again. If you just flip it 90s and 90s, if there's any issues, they stay there. They just move around.
Gotcha.
If you flip it over, it fixes it for you. One mistake people make a lot is they're scared to grab the metal up here, so they grab it back here, and they're doing this. You have no power, no accuracy. Go ahead and step up and get it down there. So I'm going to go from the inside out. Should be hotter. There's the 90. And there's the 180. And now I'm just going to straighten it back up. So there starts a square.
Okay.
Skinny. A lot of different ways to do a taper. This is just the way that I found that's easiest to show. So what we have to do first is we have to reduce mass. So we're going to flatten 2 sides. So we have 2 fat sides and 2 skinny sides. About a 1/3 to 3/4 ratio. At that point, you'll put your skinny side down and angle your hammer, and that will give you a taper. You can keep your metal flat or your hammer flat, but that will not give you the quickest taper.
Gotcha.
So flatten, flip it, flatten, something like this, right? Skinny side down. Right here, I'm just reducing mass, so my metal's still flat. But whenever I get here to the tip, I need to angle it and angle my hammer. And that starts to give you that taper.
Okay, so you're pushing the metal back into itself, basically.
And then you can straighten that out. Your flat sides become your skinny sides and vice versa. It's now too cold. Straighten it out. Now you'll probably end up having to get it hot and come back again. This is probably the #1 place that people get burnt. It's like a pat your head, broke your tummy thing.
Right,
So
right.
much going on. So fit your piece, get it hot, and then bring it over. Do your twist. You want to get it as hot as you can because it's a time thing.
Yeah.
So, that'll be fine. All right, so you come at it from this side. You're gonna put your piece into the vise. It has to grab a little bit of something square right there. Hold it. Put your wrench on. If you will wiggle it while you tighten it, it'll grab better. See how it's hotter here? It's going to want to move more there. Let's get going up. Push that forward. Hammer down. If I hammer here, nothing happens. It's flat. If I hammer here, nothing happens, right? So push it forward, hammer down, and it curls around.
Okay.
And then you get it to wherever you want it. Close it up. All right. So there's a hook, or half a hook.
Nice.
Yep. So it'll probably take you about 30 pulls to get it up to heat. So pull very fast the first one. Yep. Now you can slow it down. You feel the resistance change?
Yep.
Now it's just about the rowing motion from top. That's it. Do your constant conveyor. That's what you want.
All right, finished product, guys. This is what we're looking at. It's a hook, pigtail, flat twist, and a round hook. Might turn that into a fishing hook. Catch me some whales. All right, guys, that's going to be the end of this video. I appreciate it. Again, like and subscribe. I'll leave all the information down below. Try this out. This is awesome. I had a great time. Thank you very much.